So one of the questions I have is what data is in your avian form? That I can show you here if we come on over here to let me turn on my handy dandy reflector, which allows me to display my screen. So turn that on. You should see my.
You know, while you're working through that, we've got another question here. Let's see. I need to show this to someone at my office. Did you record the webinar? Yes, we are recording the webinar. And in the next couple of days, we'll send everybody a link to the recorded webinar, and you can share that with whoever you like. Here's another one. What happens if you are in a remote area with no connectivity?
So the good thing about the way that Geoduck works, it uses your internal GPS chip to actually get the coordinate locations. So it doesn't matter if you're out there where you have no connectivity to a data network, you can still get the accurate lat and long coordinates. It gets that directly from a GPS chip that's inside of any device that's 3G, 4G, LTE capable. So if you have like a Wi-Fi only iPad, then you could run into an instance where you need to have an external GPS connected. But any cell phone or tablet, any of the Android tablets, whether they have 4G or not, have the GPS chip, but any of the cell phones too. So we have a lot of people that go and actually use these devices offline. They take them out into the field, and they go, far out of the standard range of these things, and they still collect all of their data without having any issues. So that stuff is all available for you there, no matter how your connectivity is actually going when you're out there in the field. So I'm going to see here if I can show you here an example of the kind of form. Here we go. So this is the kind of thing that's in the avian form. You can see here it has transect number, specimen number, photo number, and then different species. So if we come in here, you can see there's a fairly extensive list. You can pretty much set up these lists for any length you'd like, and you can pick from the drop down out in the field. You can also still allow typing, so somebody could add something that wasn't normally in here. This is probably a standard size for lists. People keep them in this range generally, but we have some people that will use, well near the full 80 fields, and we have some people that go out and just use a couple fields. So it's highly customizable depending on the kind of data you want to collect, and these are super easy to set up. And then once they're set up, you can easily save it and have it for future use or modification. I know I talked about earlier that you could send these out in the field via email, but we have another question about, what if I updated one of these forms and I needed to update the people in the field? Do I have to email them to everybody? And the answer is you can do a couple different ways. If you're on a standard license, you can email them out to people, or you can put them in like a cloud connected folder that the people in the field have access to. We also support on the actual enterprise version of the software. I can come in here and show you there's a form sync path and settings sync path. So you can set up the settings for all your devices and the forms that you want on all your devices, and then you can put in the sync frequency. And then if you change one of these forms, you would just save it to the location that your form sync path is set to in your cloud provider, and you would be able to go ahead and have everybody in the field sync, and it would go ahead and update the forms. So we do have ways for larger clients to make sure that everyone's always using the most recent version of the form, so that you don't have any kind of discrepancy in the data that's being collected.
Do you want to answer that watermark one second from the top?
Okay, yeah, so the watermark information is set in the...
So the question is, can you set, that's okay, can you set the watermark information in the app, or is it added to photos using the full program in the office?
Yeah, so the watermark information is set in the office. You set up where you want the watermarks to lay out on the photo and what watermarks you want to use, and then you save those settings as a template file, like I mentioned, and then it can always be done. So it doesn't watermark photos in the field, it watermarks the photos after you process them through Core. Right.
So when you export to an access file, are the photos shown as their file names?
So yeah, the photos are shown as their file names when you export to an access file, and then also you have the options if you're actually, let me open up the project here, in shared output settings, switch over here, and on photo information you can see that there's a URL output. So if you're keeping the photos in a location that's local or a network drive, you can put in the path to where the photos are stored here, and it will append that to that file name. So when you output your flat table for access or any of the flat table outputs, it will have the full path to the photo so that your database knows exactly where those photos are actually located. All right, and one of the questions is, could you discuss how sign inventories might be collected with the solution where you have only one location but multiple signs? There's a couple different ways that can be accomplished. I mean, you could choose to use group photos and fill out one form that went along with multiple signs. But if you wanted to fill out different forms for multiple signs at one location, what you're going to want to use is the GPS lock feature. So what you can do there is get to where these multiple signs are in one location, lock the GPS, which is available on the device in a couple places. You can go into GPS here and enable GPS lock. And then if I was going to my camera screen, I have the ability to say, turn on my GPS lock. It locks those coordinates in wherever I am. Then I can take multiple photos and fill out an individual form for each photo. Every photo will have the exact same coordinates written to it. So then you can, when you process it through Core, end up with multiple signs at one location, each with their own unique form information associated with them.
Okay, maybe just one more question and then we're going to wrap it up because we ran over a little bit in our presentation.
Okay, one more is if you're using a Wi-Fi iPad, can you get the spatial information afterwards with your track from a GPS device? Yeah, so we have a geotag wizard here. What you can do is, import the photos. They won't have spatial information with them. You can go through the geotag wizard and point it to your track file and then sync them up via time. The best way to do that is you make your first photo of the day with the Wi-Fi iPad, take a photo of the time on the GPS device that you're going to use to create the track log. That way you can use that control photo and sync the time up with the GPS device, and you can figure out the time differential, and then you process it and it will put spatial coordinates on all of the photos and you're good to go.
Excellent. All right. Well, we definitely have some questions here that we're not going to have time to answer, but what we'll do is we'll respond to people individually and make sure that those get answered, and then we will also on the website post all of the questions with their answers. So thank you very much, and we will get out the recorded webinar to everyone here in the next couple of days. So thank you very much for attending, and we look forward to talking to you guys about using GeoJot for engineering in the future. Bye.
All right. Thank you very much.